Hi, church family. My name is Olivia Frederick, and I'm excited to be joining you guys again for another mini Devo from our Circle Maker series that we've been going through as a church. This week we are diving into part 2 of the Circle Maker by Mark Batterson, and the focus is on praying hard. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit on how a blessing of prayer is that it increases our dependence on God. And so to start our time, I'm going to read for you out of Exodus 16, 16 through 21. And the context for this story is that the Israelites were grumbling and complaining because they were in the desert wilderness and they were hungry and just kind of longing for the provision that they had back in Egypt. And God miraculously says that He's going to provide them bread to eat. And so He provides manna literally from heaven for them to eat. And so verse 16 says, Moses said to the people, "This is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need." Then Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it until morning." However, some of them paid no attention to Moses, and they kept part of it until morning. But then it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Each morning, everyone gathered only as much as they needed. Isn't that super interesting? That God actually designed their meal plan as a daily reminder to rely on His grace, on His provision, and His care. And thousands of years later, Jesus actually teaches us how to pray, "Give us today our daily bread." And the way that this like reliance on God actually cultivates prayer. Our need for God cultivates a deeper relationship, more prayer. And I think that the goal pray is not to pray less, but it's actually to pray more and to receive from God daily. We need to grow in our dependence, not independence. And so I want to read for you out of this book on page 112. Mark Batterson says, "One of our fundamental misunderstandings of spiritual maturity is thinking that it should result in self-sufficiency. It's the exact opposite. The goal isn't independence, the goal is codependence on God. Our desire for self-sufficiency is a subtle expression of our sinful nature. It's a desire to get to a place where we don't need God, don't need faith, and don't need to pray. We want God to provide more, so we need Him less." Ooh, that's a tough one, because I love to be prepared, and I love to know, like, have my all my money set for the month, have a nice cushy 401k, like all of these things. When it's actually the more that we rely on the things that we do, the less we rely on God, and vice versa. And so I actually, real quick, I have a visual aid today. I want to share with you something I learned in college. A teacher taught us about kind of our dependence on God. And so I'm going to draw a little picture of me here with my little curly hairs. And so this is me, and in my life, when I've encountered the Lord. So this is like the moment where I gave my life to the Lord. This is like me and the cross. The cross represents God and everything He's done for us, and my need for Him. And so over time, Christians tend to have this feeling that over time I should be progressing, I should be becoming more spiritually mature, I should be actually needing the cross less than I initially did. And eventually, our view of the cross gets smaller and smaller, and we feel like we grow and we mature and we need less and less of God's grace. And then the cross, we kind of are like, well, that's good. We just need this little bit amount. When in reality, we start out here and we encounter God, we encounter the cross, and our progression to spiritual maturity the cross should grow. Our dependence on God should grow. Our need for Him is going to continue to grow and grow over time, and our reliance on Him is going to continue to grow over time. And so if you're in a place where you feel like, man, I don't feel like I need God less, I feel like I need Him more, I feel like I'm more desperate for God to come through, I need Him to help me with this. Maybe you're feeling weak, but I might encourage you today that the cross is getting bigger, and your reliance on God is a really good thing.